your English podcast.
Hello, everyone, and a massive warm welcome back to your English podcast.
It is so good to be back.
It's fantastic to have you with us today, whether you're, I don't know, commuting to work, wrestling with a giant pile of laundry, or maybe just stealing a few precious minutes for yourself in a parked car somewhere. We are so, so glad you're here.
Today is going to be a really a really special one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a topic that isn't just academic for me. It's very
Yeah.
close to my heart, and honestly, it's my daily reality.
Absolutely. And, usually when we sit down behind these microphones, we're dissecting the mechanics of the language.
Right. Grammar, phrasal verbs.
Exactly. We're talking about complex grammar structures. We debate the nuances of phrasal verbs, or we look at things like vocabulary retention rates. But there is this huge elephant in the room that we don't always address.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's the context of life. It's the chaos. The central theme we are diving into today is exactly that. How do you master English or any difficult, high cognitive skill, really, when life is just absolutely chaotic? Specifically, how do you balance learning with heavy, non-negotiable responsibilities?
Exactly. That's the core of it, because in a perfect world, I don't know, like a laboratory setting, if you will, we would all have 2 hours a day, a quiet library with those big mahogany desks, and a hot cup of tea to study English in peace.
That sounds like a dream.
It is a dream, but it's not the world most of us live in. So I want to frame this discussion around my own personal reality, which I know a lot of our listeners share in some way.
Okay.
I am a single mother of 3 children.
3 children.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in for a moment. That is a lot of varying energy levels to manage right there.
It is. Yes, 3. And as any parent knows, that is a full-time job plus overtime.
Yeah.
So the challenge isn't just learning English in some sort of vacuum. The real challenge is, how do I find the mental bandwidth to study when I have to be a mom, a housekeeper, provider, and a functioning human being all at the same time? It's a clash of identities almost. The learner versus the caregiver.
It sounds almost impossible when you put it that way. And I think that's why so many people give up. I really do.
I think so too.
They wait for the chaos to subside. But the thing is, the chaos, it never really goes away. It just changes shape. But that is our mission for this deep dive. We want to explore these real struggles. We aren't going to sugarcoat it at all. It's hard. But we want to find the balance in the busiest days. We want to see if we can kind of hack the system.
That's right. And here is the hook, the promise we want to make to you listening right now. Even if you feel like you have absolutely zero free time, like not one single minute.
Which a lot of people feel.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Even if you think your schedule is completely solidly full, just stay with us. By the end of this, we want you to walk away with practical life hack strategies that I actually use every single day to fit language learning into the cracks of your day.
Into the cracks of the day. I love that. That's a very vivid image. It implies that the day is this solid wall of obligation, and we just have to find the tiny fissures.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start at the very beginning of the chronological day. Take us through your reality. Let's call this section 1 of our discussion. The morning anchor.
The morning anchor. I like that title because it really does ground the rest of the day. It really does. So my reality starts early, very early.
How early are we talking?
We are talking about the early riser strategy. My alarm goes off between 5:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m.
Oh, 5:30. That is committed. I think a lot of people hearing that might physically groan. I know I'm groaning internally.
I know.
Yeah. That sounds miserable to like at least half the population who are not natural morning people. So why? Why do you do it? Is it just about squeezing more hours into the day? Is it a quantity game?
That's what people think. But no, it is about time management, yes. But more importantly, it's about the mental state.
Yeah.
It's about what you call cognitive bandwidth.
Okay.
The why behind waking up at 5:30 isn't just to add minutes. It is to beat the chaos. I have to get up before the children. That's the non-negotiable part.
Right, because once they are up.
Once they are up, the day isn't mine anymore. It just isn't. I am a chef, the referee, the driver, the negotiator. I'm all these roles. But at 5:30 a.m., the house is silent. And that silence, oh, it is golden.
Yeah.
It allows for solitude.
That makes total sense. It's psychological then. You are claiming the day before the day can claim you.
Yes.
I've read a lot about this idea, the concept of the first move. If you wake up and immediately react to a crying child or a pinging email notification, you're already on the defensive. You're just reacting. By getting up early, you make the first move. You're on offense.
Exactly. You are proactive, not reactive. And that feeling of control, even if it's just for a few minutes, it's addictive. It sets the tone for everything else.
So you're up at 5:30. You're in the kitchen, maybe making some coffee. The house is quiet. What happens in those first 15 minutes? Because I think the temptation for most people, myself included, would be to just pick up the phone and doom scroll through social media.
Oh, the biggest temptation.
Which effectively ruins that proactive state you just fought so hard to get.
It's the trap.
Yeah.
You have to treat the phone like a grenade. Just don't touch it. For me, those first 10 to 15 minutes are sacred. I don't check social media. I don't check emails. I immediately engage with English.
Immediately, like before coffee.
Sometimes I put my headphones in before I've even brushed my teeth.
Oh,
My main activity is listening to audio lessons or English podcasts, just like this one, immediately upon waking.
wow. That is fascinating. You're setting the tone right from the first conscious moment. I think there is something really powerful about that. Before the hustle begins, before you have to worry about school lunches or finding missing socks, you have already accomplished something for yourself.
A small win.
It's an identity shift, really.
It is. It's a small win, and it anchors me. It reminds me that I am also a student. I am also an individual with my own goals. I'm not just a caregiver. And, just practically speaking, my brain is fresh. It's empty. I haven't made 1,000 tiny decisions yet, so my absorption rate just feels higher.
That aligns perfectly with all the research on decision fatigue. The theory is that you only have a finite amount of executive function per day. It's like a battery.
Right.
And if you spend the first hour negotiating with a toddler about which socks to wear, you've burned high-quality brain fuel that you could have used for, I don't know, verb conjugation or vocabulary acquisition.
Precisely. By doing it first, I'm using my premium brain power on myself for my own goals.
I have to ask, though, little motivation check here. 5:30 a.m. is dark. It's cold sometimes. You're tired from the day before. How do you find the energy to wake up that early? What actually drives you out of a warm bed? Because willpower is a finite resource too, right?
It is. Honestly, the silence.
Yeah.
The silence of the house is the motivation. I know that if I sleep in until 7 o'clock, I wake up to screaming, to demands, to rushing around. It's pure chaos.
So it's an escape.
It's a proactive escape.
Yeah.
Waking up early gives me my personal hour. Even if it's only 20 minutes some days, it's my time to focus solely on myself and my growth. It's a
Yeah.
form of self-care, but through education.
That is a beautiful way to look at it. Self-care through education. That reframes the whole thing. It stops English from feeling like a chore-like homework you have to do and makes it feel like a treat, a private moment you get to have.
Precisely. My little secret garden before the world invades and starts making demands.
Okay, so you've had your morning anchor, you've had your quiet input, the sun comes up, the kids wake up, the noise starts. Now we move into section 2, the daytime hustle. The storm arrives.
The storm arrives indeed. And the pace shifts dramatically. We get the kids ready. Breakfast is just a whirlwind of spilled cereal and lost shoes. And then they're finally off to school or kindergarten.
And you can relax.
No, not at all. For me, the work doesn't stop. I have the entire household to run.
Ah, the double shift. I think this is something that is so often overlooked in productivity advice. You know, most productivity gurus are these guys in their 20s with no dependents. They don't factor in the sheer physical labor of maintaining a home and a family.
Not at all. There's cooking lunch, cleaning up the breakfast disaster,
Yeah.
solving all the domestic problems that pop up, maybe doing other work from home. It's physical, busy work. It's not sitting peacefully at a desk.
So here is the logistical question then. When you are running around, you're vacuuming, you're chopping onions, you're dealing with mountains of laundry, where is the English? Where does it fit? Most people would say, I can't study now, I'm cleaning.
And that is where they are missing the biggest opportunity. You have to find the windows. I don't look for an hour of free time. An hour of free time does not exist in my day. It's a myth.
A beautiful myth.
A beautiful myth. If I waited for a solid hour block, I would literally never learn a single new word. I look for the concept of 10 to 15-minute pockets of time.
Give us some examples of these pockets, because I think people really overestimate how much time they need to learn something. They get stuck in that mindset of, if I can't do 45 minutes, it's not worth doing at all.
That's the all or nothing fallacy, and it's so destructive. But language is built in moments.
Yeah.
A lunch break is a classic one, of course, but think even smaller. A lull in playtime on the weekend when they're occupied for 5 minutes. Or, one of my favorites, waiting for the water to boil for pasta.
Right. That's a few minutes right there.
Exactly. These are all micro sessions.
I see. So instead of staring blankly at the stove or, let's be honest, scrolling through Instagram while the water boils, you're actively doing something with English.
Yes. And I have a specific technique for the household chores that I really want to share with everyone. I call it narrating life. It's a full-on immersion technique you can do anywhere.
Narrating life. Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that work?
I literally narrate my actions in real time out loud in English. So if I am in the kitchen, I will say to myself out loud, now I am chopping vegetables, I'm taking the knife, I am slicing the cucumber.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Doesn't that feel, completely insane? You're just
Right.
standing alone in your kitchen talking to yourself.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. You feel like a crazy person at first. If anyone walked in, they would probably be very concerned. I'm standing there holding a cucumber saying, the cucumber is green. I am slicing it thinly.
But you do it anyway. Why? What is it about that specific action that makes it so effective?
It forces your brain to recall vocabulary in context. This is something called contextual binding. When you learn the word cucumber on a flashcard, it's abstract. It's just letters on a screen. It
Right.
has no real-world connection.
Right. Just data.
It's just data. But when I am holding a cold, wet vegetable and I'm smelling it, feeling the knife cut through it, I say the word, My brain links that entire sensory experience to the word. It's not abstract anymore. It's real.
That makes so much sense. You're engaging the motor cortex and the sensory cortex at the same time as the language center in your brain. You're creating this multi-sensory memory hook that's way stronger than just reading.
Exactly. And it also does something else that's really important. It exposes your gaps immediately. You think you know all the kitchen vocabulary until you try to narrate making a stew.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly you realize, wait a minute, I don't know the word for simmer or ladle or lid.
That's the gap hypothesis, isn't it? You notice the hole in your knowledge precisely because you need the word right now. It's urgent, so the brain pays more attention. So what happens then? When you hit a gap, do you stop everything and look it up?
That depends. If my hands are covered in flour, no. I just make a mental note or I try to describe it in a different way. But often, if I'm planning on doing something new, I preload the vocabulary.
What do you mean by preload?
Well, for example, if I know I need to fix a leaking sink later, I'll take 5 minutes to pull up a YouTube repair video in English to learn the relevant words wrench, pipe, gasket. If I'm making that stew, I watch a short cooking video about making stew.
So you're connecting the language directly to the action you're about to perform. It's much stickier than just reading a random word list.
It's so much stickier.
And I want to highlight something here for everyone listening. These micro sessions, the narrating, the 10 minutes here, the 10 minutes there, they all accumulate. It's not about finding one long, perfect hour. It's about the consistency of these small moments throughout the day.
It all adds up. By the end of the day, you look back and realize you've actually practiced for 45 minutes or an hour just in these little tiny chunks. And because it was all tied to real world action, you remember it so much better.
Now, you mentioned you have 3 kids. Do you try to keep your English learning life separate from them, or do you integrate it? Because that seems like another potential friction point, trying to study when they want to play.
Oh, I have to integrate it. There's no other way. Otherwise, it just wouldn't happen. I actively bring English into the kids' environment. We listen to English songs in the car. I keep an English radio station or podcasts on as background noise while they play.
So they are basically learning by osmosis, just by being exposed to the sounds.
They are, and they pick up more than you'd think. I have a funny anecdote about this, actually.
Let's hear it.
One day, we were all playing with blocks on the floor. I was just in my zone, maybe narrating a bit or just talking to myself in English, or maybe the radio was on. I used a specific phrase. I think it was something simple like, oh, look at that, or be careful. And suddenly, my youngest, who was barely speaking at the time, just started repeating it. Look at that, look at that.
That is fantastic. That must have been an amazing moment.
It was a light bulb moment for me. Language becomes a natural part of the family ecosystem. It's not just some subject in a textbook that mom studies in secret behind a closed door.
Yeah.
It's something we live with. It's in the air we breathe in our home.
That is a huge takeaway. Make it part of the air you breathe. It normalizes the struggle and the joy of learning for your kids, too. They see it as a normal, fun part of life.
Exactly. They don't see it as a chore. They see it as just how we communicate sometimes.
You know, hearing you talk about finding these pockets of time while waiting for water to boil, while playing with blocks, is really, really inspiring. But I want to turn to you, the listener, for a second. We've talked about mornings and cleaning, but how do you fit learning into your busy schedule?
Yeah, what's your trick?
Do you have a long commute? Do you listen while you're walking the dog?
We are always looking for new ideas. So think about your day. Where are your hidden pockets of time? Is it in the shower? Is it while you're waiting in line at the grocery store?
And hey, if you are enjoying these tips on productivity and language learning, it would be amazing if you'd subscribe to our channel or follow this podcast. We do these deep dives regularly, and we really don't want you to miss the future ones where we unpack even more strategies on how to learn smarter, not harder.
Yes, please do subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep this conversation going and lets us reach more learners just like you.
All right. So we've painted a picture of a very productive, proactive day. We have the morning anchor, the narration in the kitchen. It all sounds great, but let's be real. We promised to talk about the struggle.
Yeah.
Let's move to section 3, the emotional roller coaster. Because it's not always easy, is it? We aren't robots.
No, not at all. And I really want to be vulnerable here for a minute. There is a reality of exhaustion that we absolutely need to talk about. It's about fatigue and fear.
Tell us about that. What happens when the adrenaline of the day wears off?
By the time the evening comes, maybe 7:00 p.m. or 8:00 p.m., after the kids are settled, after the housework is done, after all those micro sessions, my brain feels heavy. That's the only word I can use to describe it. It feels physically heavy, like there's an actual weight inside my skull.
I think everyone knows that feeling. It's that decision fatigue we talked about, combined with the just pure physical tiredness.
Yes. And in that moment, the idea of sitting down to formally study English can feel impossible. It feels like a weight that is just too heavy to lift. You think, I can't possibly conjugate a verb right now. I just want to stare at a wall. I just want to be unconscious.
That is so completely valid, and I want to jump in here and validate that for every single person listening. That feeling is normal. It is not a sign of weakness or laziness, it is biology. There's actually a concept in linguistics called the affective filter, which was proposed by Stephen Kreischen.
The affective filter? What's that?
Think of it like a wall inside your brain. When you are stressed, anxious, bored, or in this case, exhausted, this filter goes up. It physically blocks new information from reaching the language acquisition device in your brain. High cortisol levels, the stress hormone, literally shut down the parts of the brain responsible for complex learning because the brain is in survival mode. It's trying to save energy.
That makes so much sense. So when I try to force myself to study complex grammar when I'm exhausted, I'm basically just banging my head against that invisible wall.
Exactly. You are fighting your own biology. It's a losing battle. So the key message here isn't force yourself to suffer through it. It's don't quit, but adapt your approach.
Right. Don't quit. Adapt.
Even if you only do 10 minutes because you are tired, that is still a win. It keeps the momentum going. But maybe you don't do complex grammar rules. Maybe you just listen to a song in English, something passive.
It does help to lower the stakes. But there's another barrier, and it's not just tiredness, it's fear.
Ah, the fear barrier. This is the big one, isn't it?
It's huge. Specifically for me, it's the fear of making mistakes. It sounds silly, I know, but even when I am practicing completely alone, doing what I call mirror work, where I literally speak to myself in the mirror, I get anxious.
Even when you're alone.
Yes. Or when I try to record myself on my phone, I just freeze up.
Why do you think that is? I mean, you're alone. There is literally no one there to judge you.
It's the internal critic. It's my own voice in my head. I hear myself make a simple grammar mistake or hear my accent, and I feel stupid. I feel shame. I feel like I should know this by now. Why am I still struggling with this basic preposition? And it paralyzes you.
This is such a critical point. We judge ourselves far, far more harshly than anyone else ever would. We need to talk about reframing what failure actually is. I have a philosophy on this, and I try to tell everyone I know who is learning something new. Errors are steps to success. They are not failures. You must speak with mistakes to eventually speak without them. You cannot bypass the speaking with mistakes phase. It is a mandatory part of the process.
It took me such a long time to accept that. I really did used to think mistakes were evidence that I wasn't studying hard enough or that I just wasn't good at it.
A sign of a personal failing?
Yes. But I've learned to view mistakes not as failures, but as data points for growth.
Data points. I like that. It's so neutral.
It is. If I stumble on a word or use the wrong tense, it's not because I'm bad at English. It's just data.
Yes.
It's information that tells me, oh, I need to review that particular word. It's completely neutral information.
Exactly. It's feedback, not judgment. You know, in the tech world, they have this motto, fail fast, break things quickly so you can learn and fix them. In language learning, we need a similar idea, speak fast and break grammar. Because if you wait until you think you are perfect to speak, you will be silent forever.
When I shifted that mindset from I failed to I found a gap I can fix, it honestly changed everything. It took all the pressure off. I stopped trying to be perfect and just started trying to communicate, which is the whole point.
And that leads us perfectly into our next section. Because even with the right mindset, even if you accept that mistakes are just data, you still need practical ways to handle that overwhelm when it hits. So let's talk about some practical tools for the overwhelmed learner.
Yes, let's get tactical. Because philosophy is great, but sometimes you just need a concrete trick to get yourself started.
First off, overcoming that mental block we just talked about. You mentioned the heavy brain feeling. How do you physically switch gears from mom worker mode to student mode? Because that kind of context switching is really expensive for the brain.
Breathing exercises.
Really, just breathing. I have to admit, that sounds a bit simplistic.
It sounds so cliche, I know. I thought so too. But it works because it's physiological, not just psychological. I take a moment to just center myself. I close my eyes. I take 3 deep breaths. The box breathing, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4. It's a physical signal to my nervous system.
A reset button.
It's a reset button. It tells my body, okay, the chaos is paused now. The fight or flight mode is turning off. Learning mode is turning on. It genuinely helps clear that mental fog.
I like that. It's a ritual. It creates a clear boundary between the chaos of the day and your dedicated learning time, even if that time is only 5 minutes.
And then, once I'm centered, I remind myself of one thing. Any practice is progress. I lower the bar so low it's impossible to fail. I don't say, I must master this entire chapter. That's way too intimidating.
Yeah, that would make me want to run away.
Right. I just say, I will just look at this for 5 minutes. That's the only goal. And usually once I start, the friction disappears and I end up going for longer. But the initial goal is just to start.
A very low barrier to entry. You're basically tricking your brain into getting started. Now, what about technology? You mentioned recording yourself earlier was a source of fear.
It was, but now it's a tool. Voice notes. This has been a game changer for me. You actually suggested this low-pressure method to me once, and I love it. Recording short voice notes on my phone.
It's great, isn't it? It's so much less intimidating than a formal lesson or a live conversation with a native speaker, where you feel all this pressure to respond instantly and perfectly.
So much less. I just pick up my phone, open the voice recorder app, and talk for 1 minute about my day. Or I'll describe the room I'm in. There's a blue sofa next to me. The light is coming through the window. I listen back, and yes, of course I hear mistakes. But it's private. Nobody else ever has to hear it. It's my safe space to fail.
And you can track your progress over time. If you save those notes and listen to one from 6 months ago, you'll be absolutely amazed at how much better you sound now. You don't notice the tiny daily improvements, but over months, the progress is massive.
Absolutely. It's concrete proof that you are getting better, even when it feels like you're not. I also rely heavily on apps. Using mobile apps for spaced repetition or quick exercises fits perfectly into those micro sessions we talked about.
For the dead time,
Exactly. Standing in line at the grocery store, I can do 10 flashcards on an app. It utilizes the dead time that's already in my day. And I also have a specific strategy for my language breaks. This is about being intentional with scheduling.
tell us about your lunch strategy.
Okay, so lunchtime. Often we just zone out, right? Maybe scroll the news on our phone, maybe eat at our desk while working. Instead, I make a point to watch one short video lesson, just 5 or 10 minutes long. But, and this is the key part, I write down any new words while I eat.
So it's active watching, not just passive consumption. That's a really important distinction.
They have to be active. Writing it down anchors it.
Yeah.
The physical act of writing is another motor skill that helps reinforce the memory. So by the end of my lunch, I have a full belly and maybe 5 new vocabulary words written down in my notebook.
That brings up the topic of organization. If you only have a 10-minute pocket of time, you don't want to spend 8 of those minutes just searching for what you should study. That creates friction and an excuse to just not do it.
Oh, decision fatigue is the enemy of progress. If I have to choose what to watch, I'll probably get overwhelmed and just choose nothing. You have to organize everything beforehand. I create custom playlists on YouTube or in my podcast app. I have folders with names like Daily Speech, New Vocabulary, Grammar Review.
So when you have a free moment, you just open the folder and hit play. It's like meal prepping, but for your English learning.
Exactly. I love that analogy. I don't have to think, what should I do now? The menu's already set. I just have to consume it.
And I believe you use a physical notebook too, not just apps.
Yes. I'm a bit old school in that way. I carry a small notebook with me everywhere. If a thought comes to me in English, or if I realize I don't know a word, like with the simmer example from earlier, I capture it immediately. If I don't write it down in that second, it's gone forever. My brain is just too full of other things to hold on to it.
Capture thoughts immediately. That's a fantastic tip for productivity in general, not just for language learning. It offloads the cognitive load from your brain onto the paper.
It frees up your brain space. You don't have to waste energy trying to remember it because you know it's safe on the paper.
Before we move on to our final section, I want to pause again and turn to you, our listener. We were just talking about fear, the fear of speaking, the fear of making mistakes. I'm curious, do you struggle with the fear of speaking? Is that your biggest barrier, or is it more about the time constraint?
We'd love to hear your story. It really helps to know we aren't alone in that fear. Sometimes just admitting to yourself, I'm scared to speak, is the very first step to overcoming it.
And again, if you're finding these strategies helpful for your own daily life, please consider subscribing. It really helps us bring you more content just like this, and we love having you as part of our community.
Okay. So we've talked about the individual, we've talked about the hacks, the apps, the notebooks, but we can't do this completely alone.
No, we are social animals, and language at its core is a social tool. This brings us to section 5, the power of community and mindset.
This is so huge. My biggest piece of advice to anyone listening, especially if you are feeling overwhelmed and isolated in your learning, is this. Don't do it alone. Social support is absolutely vital.
But you're a busy single mom. How do you find time for study buddies? You can't exactly go to a pub meetup every Tuesday night.
No, definitely not. It doesn't have to be a formal class or a physical meetup. Find a friend, a colleague, or even just an online study buddy. All you need is one person to exchange wins with.
Just to combat that feeling of loneliness.
Exactly. Learning a language can be a very lonely process. You're in your own head so much of the time. Just having someone you can text and say, hey, I finally understood how the present perfect tense works, and have them text back, that's awesome, great job.
Yeah.
That dopamine hit is so important, it keeps you going on the hard days.
It's accountability and celebration rolled into one. We so often forget to celebrate the small stuff, which leads us to what I like to call the golden rule of motivation. Motivation is key, but it's fragile. It comes and it goes.
It really is. You can't rely on motivation alone to get you through. But the quickest way to kill whatever motivation you do have is the trap of comparison.
Oh, this is the danger zone. Comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It's especially in the age of Instagram and TikTok.
Yes, we see these people on social media who seem to speak perfectly after just 3 months. They have these videos, I learned English in 30 days. And we watch them and we just feel terrible about ourselves. We feel slow. We feel like we're failing.
But we don't see the context.
We don't see their background, their hours of study, their personal struggles. We don't know if they're studying for 8 hours a day with a private tutor.
You cannot compare your journey to theirs. You have 3 kids and a job. Someone else might be a full-time university student living in London with 0 other responsibilities. The paths are different, the resources are different, the available time is different.
So I just focus on my own path. I put blinders on. I don't look at what others are doing. I celebrate my own small victories. A new phrase I learned. A word my child repeated. A day where I managed to do 15 minutes of practice instead of 0.
That is the mindset of a winner right there. It's about your own personal progress, not about perfection or comparison.
Find what inspires you and hold on to it. If it's a song, a movie, a dream of traveling to New York one day, keep that vision crystal clear in your mind. That's what gets you up at 5:30 a.m. when it's cold and dark and your bed is warm. That vision is your fuel.
Absolutely beautifully said. Well, we have covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from the early morning silence to the chaos of the kitchen, through the emotional crash of the evening, and back to the mindset that keeps us all going. Let's wrap this up with a summary.
Let's recap the journey.
We started with the morning anchor, that 5:30 a.m. wake-up call, finding the silence before the storm, using those first 15 minutes to set the tone, create a learner identity, and utilize your highest cognitive bandwidth before decision fatigue ever gets a chance to set in.
Then we move to the daytime hustle. The importance of finding the pockets of time, microdosing the language, narrating your life while chopping vegetables, using that contextual binding to make new words stick, and integrating English into your kids' playtime so it becomes part of the family culture, not a separate secret task.
Then we got real and talked about the emotional roller coaster, accepting the heavy brain feeling and understanding the biology of the affective filter so you don't fight yourself. And crucially, reframing mistakes as neutral data points, not as personal failures.
And we gave you the tools. Breathing exercises to switch contexts, voice notes for private, safe practice, the lunch strategy for active, engaged learning, custom playlists to avoid decision fatigue, and finally, the immense power of community and avoiding that poisonous comparison trap.
It really is a comprehensive toolkit for the busy learner. If you had to reiterate the core message in just one sentence, if a listener only remembers one single thing from this entire deep dive, what would it be?
That even in a life as busy as a single mom of three, English is possible if you look for the small moments. It's not about finding time. It's about making time in the margins. It's about stealing those little cracks in the wall of your day.
And here is our final advice to you. Use every minute you can find, whether it's in the morning or a 5-minute coffee break. Accept mistakes as a mandatory part of the process. Try to embrace them even. And organize your space, both digital and physical, to make starting as easy as possible.
Reduce the friction. Make it easy to say yes to English and hard to say no.
So here's our final call to action for you. We genuinely want to know. Tell us in the comments about your life hacks for finding time. Do you have a trick that we didn't mention? Do you talk to your pets in English? We want to know your secrets.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the next deep dive from your English podcast. We have so much more to share, and we can't wait to continue learning with you.
Thank you so much for listening to your English podcast today. It has been an absolute pleasure diving into this with you.
Thank you. And remember, listener, even in the busiest life, you can learn English if you find those little moments. See you next time.
See you next time.